Now let's look at the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries, a pair of oviduct, uterus, vagina, vestibule, and some accessory glands. So this is a pair of ovaries here, right and left, which is attached to the body wall by the mesovarium. And this is the oviduct. This one is the oviduct, which is open into a common duct called the uterus, which is this the uterus. And this is the vagina. This one is vagina. And there is a vestibule, and there are some accessory glands of the Bartholin's glands and perineal glands are there. But prostate glands are all, seminal glands are absent. Let's look at the ovary. So ovary is a paired one, a small whitish oval body found attached to the dorsal body wall by mesovarium. Each ovary, when ripe, shows an outer surface of many projections called ovarian graphicle. കുറേ projections കാണാം നമുക്ക് ഇതിനൊക്കെയാണ് അതൊക്കെ ഗ്രാഫിയൻ ഫോളിക്കിളിൻ്റെ പ്രൊജക്ഷൻസ് ആണ്. സോ ഈ ഓരോ ഫോളിക്കിളും will contain an ovum. ഇതൊക്കെ ovum ഉണ്ട്. So this is an ovary. The ovary and a section എടുത്തു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ you can see its true structure. This is made up of connective tissue called the stroma. This is a stroma. Central region is called the stroma, and is divided into two regions: the outer cortex and the inner medullary region. All these developing ovums are seen in the outer cortical regions. Cortex contain different developing stages of primary follicle in which the developing ovum is present. This developing ovum is surrounded by many follicular cells. So these are the follicular cells. The follicular cells secrete a membrane called the zona pellucida that is covered by another membrane called corona radiata. Such a structure is called Graafian follicle. So this is a mature Graafian follicle. So the center one is the ovum, which is surrounded by zona pellucida, then corona radiata. There is a fluid space inside the ovum, inside the Graafian follicle, and this is called the antrum. This one is the antrum. When a mature Graafian follicle ruptures, the process is called ovulation, and the ovum is released. So ovum is released. The remaining part of the Graafian follicle forms a yellow glandular structure called the corpus luteum, which is secreted hormone called progesterone, which is necessary for the maintenance of pregnancy. If there is no fertilization occurs, a degenerated form a corpus albicans. So this is a corpus albicans. ഇതിൽ കുറേ ഫോളിക്കുലർ സെൽസ് ഉണ്ടാവും. ആ ഫോളിക്കുലർ സെൽസിനെ കവർ ചെയ്തിട്ട് അതിൽ ഒന്ന് മാത്രമേ ഓവായിട്ട് മാറ്റുള്ളൂ. ദ അതർ സെൽസ് ബിക്കം ദ നറിഷിംഗ് സെൽസ് കോൾഡ് discus proligerus. So discus proligerus means the nourishing cells around the ovum is called the discus proligerus. So all these cells are called discus proligerus. Oviduct. So this is the oviduct. The opening has a funnel-shaped structure called fimbria. So this one is called the finger-like projections are called fimbria. It has a fimbriated funnel or ostium close to the outer surface of each ovary, which leads into an oviduct. The fimbriated funnel receives the ovum. Actually, the fimbriated funnel receives the ovum. Each oviduct is differentiated into two parts. First part is called the fallopian tube. So this is the fallopian tube. This one is the fallopian tube. And the second part, the uterus. So this is the uterus. Oviduct's continuation on a uterus. The fertilized ova are implanted in the uterine wall for the development. The developing embryo remains attached to the uterine wall by a placenta. Embryo എവിടെയാണ് develop ചെയ്യുന്നത്? So all the developing embryo are connected to the uterine wall by the placenta. The uteri of both sides join together along a median line to form a common wide passage called the vagina. So this is the vagina. This one is the vagina. The vagina passes back towards and joins with the neck of the urinary bladder, forming a common passage called the urinogenital vestibule. In rabbit, the vagina joins with the urinary bladder, forming a common passage called the urinogenital canal, or called the vestibule. So this is the vestibule region. This is the vestibule region. It extends backwards ventral to the rectum and opens out a slit-like aperture called the vulva. So this is the vulva. A small opening is there. This is the vulva. For sadhana manusharil, there is a separate opening for the urination and to receive the penis. Then the opening very. But rabbit, both urinary bladder and vagina is open into a common chamber called the vestibule. And the vestibule site. So this is the vestibule. There are some additional accessory glands for the Bartholin's glands, which lubricate the vaginal passages. They are similar to corpus glands of the male. Prostate glands are now found in the female rabbit, and there is a perineal glands and rectal glands also found like those of male rabbit. Perineal gland and rectal glands are also present. The domestic rabbit can copulate at any time, but wild rabbit copulate from January to June. Usually the female in most mammals copulating only when she is estrous condition or on heat, of which rabbit may be an exception. റാബിറ്റിൻ്റെ കേസിൽ അതിനൊരു ഈസ്റ്റസ് പീരീഡിൽ മാത്രമല്ല കോപ്പുലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ബാക്കി എല്ലാ ആനിമൽസിൻ്റെ കേസിലും അതിൻ്റെ ഈസ്റ്റസ് പീരീഡിൽ മാത്രമേ അത് കോപ്പുലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നുള്ളൂ. പക്ഷെ റാബിറ്റിന് ഏത് സമയത്ത് വേണമെങ്കിലും കോപ്പുലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാം, ജസ്റ്റ് ലൈക്ക് എ ഹ്യൂമൻ. At the time of copulation, the penis of the male is introduced into the vagina of the female, and the semen is ejaculated. Let's look at the fertilization and development. The gestation period is about 28 to 30 days. Ovum release, which is picked up by the ovary, then passes down the fallopian tube. And fallopian tube ഏകദേശം ഈ പോയിന്റിലേക്ക് എത്തുന്ന സമയം ദിസ് ഈസ് എ സൈറ്റ് ഓഫ് ഫെർട്ടിലൈസേഷൻ. ഇവിടെയാണ് ഫെർട്ടിലൈസേഷൻ നടക്കുന്നത്. ഇവിടെ ഫെർട്ടിലൈസേഷൻ നടക്കുന്ന കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ മാത്രമേ അതിൻ്റെ സെക്കൻഡ് മിയോട്ടിക് ഡിവിഷൻ നടക്കത്തുള്ളൂ. അങ്ങനെ അപ്പോൾ മാത്രമേ അത് സെക്കൻഡറി ഊസായിട്ട് മാറുന്നുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് റിലീസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന സ്റ്റേജ് പ്രൈമറി യൂസേജ് സ്റ്റേജിലാണ്. സോ ആഫ്റ്റർ ഫെർട്ടിലൈസേഷൻ ഇറ്റ് ബിക്കംസ് എ സെക്കൻഡ് യൂസേജ്. At the time of fertilization, the endosperm enters the ovum and the tail degenerate ചെയ്യും. എന്നിട്ട് അത് രണ്ടും കൂടെ കമ്പൈൻ ചെയ്തിട്ട് ഒരു സൈഗോട്ട് ഫോം ചെയ്യും. The zygote then passes down to the fallopian tube. ഇവിടുന്ന് സൈഗോട്ട് ഫോം ചെയ്യും, then passes down to the fallopian tubes and reaches the uterus, where it gets attached at the wall of the uterus. In the wall ഭിത്തിയിൽ അത് അറ്റാച്ച് ചെയ്യും. So after next few days, a special connection placenta is formed between the developing embryos and the uterine growth. ഇവിടെ വെച്ചിട്ട് അതിൻ്റെ ഡെവലപ്പിംഗ് എംബ്രിയും യൂട്രസ് വാങ്ങുന്ന നമ്മളൊരു പ്ലാസenta ഫോം ചെയ്യും. The gestation period in rabbit is about 28 to 32 days, after which the mother gives birth to young ones. അതിന് ശേഷമാണ് കുട്ടികളെ, ചിലപ്പോൾ 5-6 കുട്ടികളുണ്ടാവും, ചിലപ്പോൾ 8-10 കുട്ടികളൊക്കെ അതിൽ കാണും. All these are the developing. ചില കേസിൽ 31 to 33 days വരെയും പറയുന്നുണ്ട്. So this is all about the reproductive system of rabbit.